A human-like creature with the body of a horse is found in the mythology of ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and Babylon. Their images were painted on the walls of houses and on dishes. Even today, interest in these mythical creatures has not waned. Centaurs are often featured as characters in global films. Where did centaurs come from, and why do some people believe that they actually existed? Born from a cloud. Mythology describes a very interesting story of the origin of these amazing creatures. According to legend, after visiting the feast of the gods, the Titan Ixion fell in love with Zeus' wife Hera literally at first sight. Without hesitation, the confident handsome man approached the goddess and made her an obscene proposal. Hera immediately froze and simply did not answer the Titan, not believing in such incredible arrogance. But when she came to her senses, she was offended and complained to her husband about the impudent man. The king of the gods decided to take revenge on Ixion for such disrespect and created a copy of Hera from a cloud. He sent a cloud to the Titan's chambers, but the Titan did not notice the deception and in the morning told everyone that he had cuckolded the terrible Zeus. Ixion was executed after terrible tortures, and the cloud soon gave birth to a cub from him, which had the torso, arms and head of a man mounted on the rump of a horse. He became the ancestor of the fierce horsemen, who terrorized the people of Hellas for a long time. Their tribe stole cattle, stole women and plundered villages. But to put an end to their attacks, the king of the Lapites, from whom the centaur Eurytion tried to steal the bride right from the wedding. The centaur was caught, and the offended groom cut off his ears and nose as punishment and sent him on his way. Eurytion did not tolerate such humiliation, gathered his tribesmen and went to attack the king's palace. The Battle of Lapita lasted a whole day, and the mutual funds remained the winners. Only a few centaurs survived the battle, and at the end they fled the battlefield and hid in the mountains of Thessaly. The teacher of heroes. The legends describe one member of this fierce tribe who was unlike his fellow centaurs, Heron. He had divine origins and was immortal, unlike the other centaurs. Heron's father was the god Kronos, and his mother was the Oceanid Philyra, who could transform into a mare. Perhaps this is why Heron was born a centaur. The centaur was raised by Apollo and Artemis. They taught him medicine, philosophy, mathematics, music, and astronomy. After completing his education, Heron decided to join his fellow centaurs and settled in the mountains of Thessaly. The rough and uncivilized centaurs did not hold any interest for the centaur of divine origin, and he spent all his time teaching his students. Heron's other talent was his ability to foresee the future. Knowing the future of each of his students, he carefully planned their education and diet down to the smallest detail. This is why Achilles, the hero of the Trojan War, ate nothing but bear brains and lion liver. Unfortunately, the end of the hero's mentor was sad. Hercules accidentally wounded his teacher with an arrow imbued with the venom of the Lernaean Hydra, and the centaur suffered greatly. He could not die because he was immortal. After enduring immense pain for a long time, he went to Zeus and begged him to transfer Charon's life to the Titan Prometheus. This is what happened, and Zeus took the teacher to the heavens, transforming him into the constellation Centaurus. The end of mutants. The most interesting thing about these amazing creatures is that they were all destroyed by a single man, Heracles. One day, after completing a heroic deed, Heracles visited his friend, the centaur Pholus. To please his guest, Pholus offered to treat Heracles to the delicious wine that belonged to his entire tribe. As soon as the lid of the jug was opened, the aroma of the drink spread throughout the area. The centaurs smelled it, and the entire tribe gathered outside Pholus's house, waiting for an explanation. However, Zeus's son was already quite intoxicated by this point, and he struck the uninvited guests with arrows imbued with the venom of the Hydra. It was a massacre, and none of the centaurs survived. Only one centaur managed to escape the massacre, and that was Nessus. Nessus was a ferryman across the river of Hellas, and he decided to avenge his people by giving his life. A few years later, Hercules married the beautiful Deianira. After the wedding festivities, they were returning home and Nessus offered to ferry them across the river. After swimming to the middle of the river, the centaur pretended that he was going to steal the bride, and Hercules struck him with a poisonous arrow for this. On his last breath, Nessus whispered to Deianira that supposedly his blood could become a love potion, and if she dipped her husband's clothes in it, his love for his wife would flare up with renewed vigor. The woman believed the centaur. She dipped the hem of her dress in the blood and kept it for many years. A few years later, Hercules found another wife. As soon as Deianira found out about it, she sent her husband a beautiful cloak soaked in Nessus's blood. As soon as Hercules put it on, he began to experience excruciating pain. He writhed and moaned in agony, so much so that he threw himself into a fire alive. This was Nessus's way of avenging his tribe. We are used to thinking of centaurs as being solely the heroes of myths and legends, but there are some ancient manuscripts that support the opposite. For example, one of Plutarch's works states that there was a foal with human arms and a human head. Another fact is described in the work of Pliny the Elder, where he states that in the year 70, Emperor Caligula received a preserved baby centaur from Egypt, and he, Pliny, witnessed this with his own eyes. And just recently, there were rumors on the internet that archaeologists had found the skeleton of a hybrid of a horse and a human. The excavation took place in the South Sahara, and it was hypothesized that after the battle with Heracles, a few centaurs managed to survive and move to the African continent. Whether the story of the centaurs is true or just a myth remains to be seen. However, it is possible that scientists will soon find an answer to this question. Please subscribe and like. I see them coming out every day.